Hot takes are everywhere, but they're often uninformed, and major news is biased. We've had enough of hot takes. We want informed takes. Join Kevin Briggins and Devin Smith as they have rational conversations about domestic politics, geopolitics, and military affairs. Things will get interesting as they bring in expert guests, even from across the aisle. Grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and hop into the chat. It's time for Informed Takes.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to Informed Take. I am Kevin Briggins. He is Devin Smith, and we are glad that you all are back with us again. Man, how you doing?
Man, I'm doing all right, man. We like on two wheels, like trying to get all the things done, man. But it's been a good week. Been a good week. God is good. Man, I'm excited because there's a possibility that we will have access to another studio, like a real TV studio, to be able to shoot out of, which is
that's awesome.
Cool. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, man.
I'm coming to the ATL when that happens.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. You know, who knows? Maybe election cast 2026 happens out of there.
Oh, no doubt. We didn't even talk about it. We are definitely doing a midterms election cast.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
Oh yeah. Ain't no way we gonna leave y'all hanging on election night. It's gonna be the best. It's gonna be the best party on YouTube. Okay, it's gonna be the best party on YouTube. And we need to line up the guest list. It's gonna be even bigger than before.
Oh, absolutely. Oh man. So yeah, I'm glad things are going well, man.
Man.
It's a good busy. It's good to be busy.
It's good. Yeah. How about you, man? How you doing?
Man, same thing, man. Two wheels, just
swerving.
Oh man, yep. Man, but like I say, it's a good busy. You know, Center for Biblical Unity stuff. We got a conference coming up in October on justice, and so planning that, coordinating that. You know, it's just a lot. It's a lot going on, but it's good stuff. So, but I'm excited.
That is awesome, man. I am not to sound patronizing, but I'm proud of you, man. I'm proud. Kevin's a big deal, y'all. Kevin is a big deal.
Not at all. Not at all.
Man.
But not at all. But you know who is a big deal? Our president.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Our fascist president.
Oh man. Oh,
fascism
we forgot.
Has come to America.
Well, when you just let crime get out of control. Oh, did I say that? You know, I was thinking about some of that stuff, and I know we're gonna get into it, but I'm just you know that meme with Brad Pitt from Troy when they're like, the meme says you can't do that, and Brad Pitt's putting on the helmet, and he says that's why nobody will remember your name.
Yep. For our Gen Z listeners, that was a great movie. Go back and watch it. Troy, Brad Pitt. Yeah, great movie. That was a great line too.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, man. Oh my gosh. And the meme it still hits. It still hits.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
But speaking of that, I've realized like the generation gap is finally hit me that a lot of movies and a lot of things we think are normal, like somebody who's like 20 years old, they have no reference for it, like they don't know. So
right.
Yeah, and so it's just stuff like that. Like, man, Troy came out a minute ago. These kids probably have no idea. Yeah, go back and watch that.
No clue. Yeah. And I will admit I've actually never seen the entire movie, but I know the reference because I mean it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like I'm an '80s baby. Like I'm a what they call a exennial. I'll take exennial.
A zennial. Yeah.
I'll take a zennial. But I also get called a geriatric millennial, and I don't like that one. I take offense to that.
I don't like that either. I don't like that either because, I'm the first year of millennial, so I'm the oldest. So I'm definitely the geriatric millennial. When they use that term, they're talking about me.
Right. And they need to put some respect on your name. They need to put some respect
on it.
On your name when they say it.
Absolutely. And Future, you are right. I am standing tonight. I've been sitting all day. When you got a desk job, you know what? I was like, I'm standing tonight. So I have one of those motorized desks that go up and down. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do it. I'm standing.
You know what? My desk is in standing position, but I got like a super tall office chair. So I'm sitting, but you just shamed me. Hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
There we go.
We're getting our exercise in tonight. Future, the best mod on the internet. You got me out here. You got me out here working out. This is your fault. Man, okay. So do you have the customary drink of water, the
I do.
carnivore drink of water?
I do. It's cold. It's refreshing. It's what the Lord gave us. So
Amen.
Cheers.
Amen. I put respect on the water. I also have water. I have water, but I also have rum and Coke.
Nice.
I can't remember the name of the rum. Also given to me by a good friend, because I'm too broke to buy liquor right now, and I'm thankful for that. So I do have rum. Gonna need some rum to talk about some of these topics tonight. But before we get into that, folks in the chat, thank you for being here. Tell us where you're watching from. We are very thankful to have you on the stream tonight. So if you're watching, tell us where you're watching from.
Yeah. But yeah, man, it's, Trump caused a stir this week. He activated the National Guard in DC to deal with crime and the homelessness issue. And some people are upset about that.
Yes.
Some people are not. And we're going to look at both sides like we typically like to do.
That's what we try to do on this show. We don't claim to be on both sides. We never lie to y'all. We're not trying to claim that we on both sides, but we try to be fair. So we're going to try to look at both sides. I just want to ask one question because I didn't get to watch the videos as I was setting up the show. Mm-hmm. Do we have the video of the guy throwing the sub at the federal agent?
No. I tried. I didn't put that in there, and I didn't put the police chief not knowing what chain of command was. I don't know if you've seen that clip.
I haven't seen. I've seen the image. I saw the headline, and I saw basically she instantly got memed as a DEI hire.
Yeah, she did.
I mean,
but I was like, that's low hanging fruit. I'm not going to include those.
Yeah,
I just want to deal with the substance of the argument that is happening.
I'm just saying, I want to know if the guy who threw the sub is by any chance friends with Jussie Smollett. I just want to know if they, the incidents involving submarine sandwiches, the police got involved.
But you do know who that guy works for, right? You did see that?
No.
The guy who threw the sandwich?
No,
he works for the DOJ.
Not anymore. Oh,
I'm saying not anymore.
Oh, man, you really didn't want to be on the radar like that. Oh, wow, man, that dude, he better. I hope he got the cardboard box ready. I had no idea that dude worked for the DOJ. How stupid do you have to be?
Employee, yes, just it is the irrational mind, right? We talk about this a lot with the left, man. It's so emotionally driven to where, so we're going to talk about this issue, with the Trump, authorizing the guard and federalizing the police in DC. The reaction is all emotional driven. It's not rooted in anything that is true or substance. It's just. I mean, these people just on the street just yelling and talking nonsense. It's fear, it's emotionalism, and they can't point to any wrong thing that is being done. They just know that they oppose it. Man, Montana in the house. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Was there last year for the first time. Man, it was beautiful. Beautiful. Man.
Oh,
and
yeah.
cold.
You was cold, though. Yeah, you were cold.
I was cold.
Man. I saw that picture.
I was the only brother in the state.
Man.
And I was cold.
Man, I saw that picture and I got cold. I had to put a jacket on just looking at the picture. Man.
Yep. We were fly fishing and it was cold. So, but it was a good time. Good time.
Man, we got somebody up in NYC. You undercover up there? Is it safe? Is it safe? I mean, shoot. NYC, man, they on some other stuff right now. Y'all still got personal property up there?
Not after this election, they won't.
Man, a quick aside, I saw a video of a guy talking about that, and he said, hey, he hopes that Mom Donnie wins because every 20 years or so, we need somebody to try it so that it fails and we don't have to talk about it for another 20 years.
Yes, I saw that video, and I kind of agree with him. Man, that's something else we could have talked about too, because there was a government-run grocery store in Kansas City that just closed.
Yep,
and it's the same thing he wants to do in New York, and we could have talked about that, but it's some other things pressing, fascism coming to the nation's capital.
Fascism just intense, man. So I think we got some videos and stuff.
We do.
Let's jump into it. All right. Good old National Guard coming in hot.
Right now at 5:30, a new video coming in overnight showing FBI and DEA agents on patrol in Georgetown. There are just some of the hundreds of federal law enforcement officers that have been positioned in D.C. in response to President Trump's crime crackdown. Thanks for being with us this Wednesday morning. I'm Adriana Hopkins.
And I'm Melanie Hastings in for Adam Longo. A White House official says since the federal takeover of D.C. police on Monday, the 60 arrests have been made so far.
Well, that includes arrests for murder, drugs, gun offenses, stalking, DUI, and others.
And hundreds of members of the National Guard are also deploying to D.C. This is video of some troops near the Washington Monument last night. Their mission is to support local and federal officers as President Trump takes aim at what he calls out-of-control crime in D.C.
Well, 7 News' John Gonzalez is live at the D.C. Armory, where about 100 National Guardsmen filled out the necessary paperwork ahead of their local mission.
That's right, Adriana. Good morning. And staffers here at the D.C. Armory tell me that they are expecting very long days with a lot of overtime, similar to what they saw back in 2021 when the J6 Capitol breach happened. More than 25,000 D.C. National Guard soldiers were activated to secure the Capitol. Well, this time around, 800 of these soldiers have been deployed here locally, and many of them started arriving yesterday while our cameras were rolling. The Guard and federal agents are part of this rare mobilization, and Mayor Muriel Bowser says she wants to make the most of it. She sat down Tuesday with U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi, who's now leading this public safety effort here in the district.
There are opportunities for us to build upon our community engagement with our federal partners who work with us every day, and this is the time for us to do it.
What I'm focused on is the federal surge and how to make the most of the additional officer support that we have.
But she getting out in
Pam
front of it,
Bondi
ain't she?
did not go on camera
Yep.
yesterday, but did say in a statement that she found the meeting to be productive and pledging close collaboration with D.C. officials. However, there's already plenty of opposition. The group Move On says more than 29,000 people, residents here in the district, have already signed a petition calling on Congress to stop what they call a militarized takeover here in the nation's capital. Reporting live, John Gonzalez, 7 News.
Now, we've been telling you crime is down in D.C., specifically violent crime, which is down 26% compared to the same time last year. But for many, crime is still top of mind. U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, is pushing back on the reports that crime is down. She references data showing 23 teenagers were shot and killed in D.C. last year, and 16 have been shot and killed this year.
You tell these families crime has dropped. You tell the mother of the intern who was shot going out from McDonald's near the Washington Convention Center, oh, crime is down. You tell the kid who was just beat the hell and back with a severe concussion and a broken nose, crime is down. No, that falls on deaf ears, and my ears are deaf to that.
Well, Pirro argues D.C. still has a high violent crime rate, even if it's declined from record highs. She blames so-called soft on-crime policies like no cash bail, youth rehabilitation and probation programs, record sealing, and family court programs. Advocates for juvenile intervention argue there needs to be more of a focus on why kids commit crimes than on their punishment. Of course, stay with 7 News as we continue to follow the federal takeover of D.C. police and the deployment of the National Guard. We have more insight into how this operation works and what D.C. police officers are saying about it. You can find that.
First of all, I want to say something about the now I'm joking about the fascism part.
Yeah, we know that.
But I gotta say it for the might be new listeners out there that don't get it. As a military guy myself, retired, I can tell you that no president is taking over the country with the National Guard, the DC National Guard. It ain't happening. Like, look, proud of everyone who serves, right, in whatever capacity. But activating the DC Guard is not the most elite fighting force. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh man,
I'm just saying, like,
snap.
I mean, you're talking about people who part-time, they just, they got off leave from their work to come do these little orders they got to do for 30 days or whatever. Like, it ain't what people think it is. They're going to set up checkpoints and check IDs. That's pretty much what they're going to end up doing.
Yeah, yeah.
They're not arresting anybody. The National Guard don't go around kicking in doors and arresting people. No, they're going to set up checkpoints. They're going to check IDs. They're going to, just their presence brings a level of safety, right? It's
Right.
a show of force. And so that's all that is, right? So don't get too spun up about this ain't the 101st Airborne. This ain't SEAL Team 6, you know.
DC National Guard, like, man, you don't know me like that. I might be SEAL Team 6. You don't know.
No offense. No offense. I'm just saying.
Man,
people calm down.
So, you know, there's always this tendency to go to obviously to never waste a moment like this and to turn it into just the most ridiculous version of real events possible. And this whole idea that he's somehow going to take over the country with the DC National Guard. So, like, if you will, imagine with me, if you will, take, if you will, this picture. The DC National Guard not only would have to comply with an order to what? Go take over. What they gonna do? Go take over the Capitol building? I mean,
I guess
what? So not only would they have to comply, but also they would have to deal with the rest of the country if they decide they ain't down with that.
Yes.
I'm sorry, y'all just talking, y'all trying to get people stirred up, but you know what you're talking about is ridiculous. You know that.
Man, don't come in here with your rational thinking and logic. It's fascism. This man is Hitler.
It just, you know, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know what people are thinking with regards to, you know, if they play this out in their mind, what they think this means on a grand scheme, because it really doesn't mean anything. You know, and I tend to agree with Eric Erickson. Okay, there should not be a problem with with feds being in DC, because DC shouldn't have some of the stuff that it has. DC
I was thinking that too.
Yeah. I mean, they shouldn't be able to vote. DC was not originally intended to be able to vote. It was supposed to be neutral.
Yeah.
Like, they should not be able to vote.
So there's no state there. Like, DC's not a state. So it's not like there's a governor there and all. Yeah, this is a completely different situation. But at the same time, I'm gonna be honest, I wish they would do it in other cities. I got a list: Baltimore, Chicago, Memphis, St. Louis, Birmingham. Like, Oakland. Yeah. Like, let's just keep. There's a lot of cities I wish they would do this in, and I'm sure the residents of those cities wish that this would happen in.
Yeah.
I was having a conversation with someone probably about a day before Trump did this, and we were talking. And this person's a person who always votes Democrat. They just do. And they said, "What would I do, or what do they think a Republican would do that Democrats aren't doing to stop crime?" And one thing I said that I wish I would like to see happen, and I don't know if our audience is aware of this term or that this actually happened, but I said I would bring back the Jump Out Boys. Do you know who the Jump Out Boys are?
I do not know who the Jump Out Boys are.
In the mid-'90s, the 90s were horrible. Gang violence is just, when you look at murder rates in the U.S., the early to mid-'90s are record highs.
Wow.
And there was this campaign to really crack down on it. And where I grew up, this took place, and it became called the Jump Out Boys. And if you Google that term, Urban Dictionary has it in there, because it wasn't just local to us, it was a nationwide thing. And basically what it was a big operation and campaign to take out dangerous people in the communities and drug dealers. And so the police it was like a SWAT team, and they would ride around these unmarked vans, and they would do these raids and operations. So say you're driving down the street in your car, they would like cut you off. They would all jump out the back with these, AR-15 type rifles and saying, "No, get out." And they were just arresting people on the spot, right? They took everybody to prison.
Wow.
Like, it went from just random gunshots every day to, man, it's quiet.
Hey, all I'm saying is the people who's got little kids getting shot in DC, they probably wouldn't mind a little of that. You know what I'm saying?
No. And like I said, and at the time, that's why this whole thing of it's the police and Black lives, it's so stupid, man. At the time, we were all glad that was happening, right?
Yeah.
Because the neighborhoods were unsafe. You had to really be careful. Stray bullets. But my mom used to say bullets don't have a name on them, right? So it was just one of those things of you had to be cognizant of what was going on around you, because if a fight break out over here, don't stick around and try to watch it because bullets don't have a name on them.
That's right. That's right.
And so just things like that. But most people can't imagine growing up with those type of rules having to be learned as a kid, Yeah. But that's what these neighborhoods are like still today. Like, and DC has some of those neighborhoods, and it's just not and it's not just in those neighborhoods. It has been encroaching in on DC proper. I think it was 2 years ago, a Washington Commanders, I almost said Redskins, can't say that. A Washington Commanders football player was robbed and shot in the leg because they were still in his car. Yeah. Wow. He was downtown DC.
Man.
Right. He wasn't in some bad neighborhood. It's been so many incidents of the crime is just getting bad. And yes, the murder rate has fallen in the last 2 years. In 2023, it was at an all-time high. Last year, I think it dropped 35%. And so far this year, I think it's down 26%. But when it's at an all-time high, even those drops, and this is what I'll say, because people have argued the numbers to say, oh, Trump's just doing this, there's no real problem. People don't care about the numbers, right? If every night I'm turning on the news and there's a shooting here and a shooting there, I don't care if it was only 2 and it was 4 last year. I don't care.
Right.
That's a 50% drop, but it's still happening, right? And so the people in those communities are actually happy this is happening. And I think we have a video that's going to talk about that. There's not only a racial divide, but there's a class divide on who is for this and who's against this. And the people who are against this aren't the people you might think. So
I bet I know who's for and who's against, because it always happens that way. My goodness. Man. So you want to go to that next video?
Yeah, we can do that.
All right. Let's take a look.
Trying to arrest innocent people? What's your purpose? What's your goal? What's the motive?
Okay, hold on. He sounds very...
Did you hear what he just said?
What's your purpose? What's your goal?
And then before he said, why are you trying to arrest innocent people?
Yeah, which is crazy.
Based on... How did he determine they're arresting innocent people? This is what I mean by you're trying to bring logic and reason. These people are not reasonable people. It's just emotions.
It's the religion, man. It's the religion. If Trump is for it, you got to be against it. You're not a good progressive unless you're against police enforcement, because to them, the way that they look at these people who are committing these crimes, they look at them as the noble savage. They look at them as the savages that they just need to be educated. They wouldn't be like this if they were just educated. They wouldn't be shooting people if they were just educated. Yeah, that's the way they look at them.
At the end of the last video, you heard that the group said that we need to stop focusing so much on the punishment and so much on the reasons crimes are being committed, right? And that goes back to your whole idea of because let's be honest. Even when we talk about the reasons crime is happening, they're not going to talk about the real reasons crime is happening.
No.
They're not going to talk about fatherlessness.
Nope.
Right. They're not going to talk about the broken homes.
Nope.
They're going to talk about quote unquote systemic racism.
That's right.
That's it.
That's
all they're going to talk about.
And because they know that it is against the orthodoxy of the religion of progressivism to talk about those root causes. Because what that does is it makes you a critiquer of the color,
the noble savage,
or the people of color, the noble savage. And you can't critique the noble savage. You can only try to save them. You can only try to make room for their culture because it's just different, right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it is. So this dude over here yelling this stuff, I'm like, my guy, first of all, you probably don't live you probably don't live in these neighborhoods where this stuff is popping off. I mean,
I was just saying, look at the crowd. Look at the crowd that is out there upset about this.
That's what I was about to point out. Let's take a good look here, and then just notice. Keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open.
Why won't you show your face? Like you look yourself in the mirror and think I did a good job today?
Turn left! Turn left! Trying to get people to turn left to not go down 14th Street. There's a random search right now. They've pulled over about 6 cars.
I'm noticing a pattern here. I'm noticing a pattern.
Yep.
Seen 2 people get detained. One by ICE, one by the police. Taken, no rhyme or reason.
And I just want to tell people at this point that it's not been confirmed. Continue.
Yes, that is what it seems like. So we're trying to get people to turn left so that nobody drives down this street.
I noticed.
Those people are idiots.
I noticed.
You saw what she said? Random. She put it in air quotes, random. And then they just arrested people for no reason. For no rhyme or reason, they arrested 2 people. Like, lady, have you ever heard of a thing called a warrant? You're like, if you get pulled over and they run your ID and you have a warrant for your arrest, they're going to arrest you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Just because you don't know what's going on doesn't mean that person got arrested for no reason.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and see, my thing is that these folks they're not thinking. They're not using the brain. But I say that I know it sounds trivial to say something like that. Like it's just being pejorative. But what I mean is this person is not taking a step back to consider the logical outcome of what they want. So these people are coming in and they're actually trying to enforce the law. Now, what they are essentially saying that they want by their actions, they probably, I don't know for sure, but the way that it looks like it's lining up is what they want is more community engagement. That's what they want from the police. And I venture to say, I bet you most of these people do not live in the hood in D.C. They do not live in the hood.
No. I engaged somebody on X yesterday, and because someone did say something about DC has neighborhoods that need to be like bulldozed or something like that, and this person basically took offense to that, and I can't remember what their comment was, but this was a black person, and I responded, I was like, "Are you referring to the neighborhoods that you won't drive in or won't drive by or live in? Are those neighborhoods you're referring to?" Like, come on. Yeah, like, it's nobody. Everybody wants to pretend there's no problem, but at the same time, the people that want to pretend that don't live there, they don't have to deal with it, and that's the issue. And so, so A.E. Rogers asked who approved the Jump Out Boys thing I was talking about, Bush or Clinton, and it was Clinton. Remember, Clinton ran on being tough on crime. Remember, they increased the penalties for crack cocaine. And people look back on that now and call it systemic racism. But I remember those times. I lived through it. And the Black community and the Black caucus in Congress is who was asking for that tougher crime, right, on crack, because it was destroying our neighborhoods and they wanted those people off the streets. Then we look back on it today and go, oh, the Clintons of systemic racism. It's like, y'all have no idea what you're talking about, right? And so, yeah, it's the only way to deal. Now, do you have to deal with root causes of crime? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's more of if you want to talk about social workers, you want to talk about church, you want to talk about just things in the community, those are the things that can address those issues. Law enforcement and government is there to govern. It's there to enforce the law, right? They're not there to ask what is the root causes of this kid who just stole something. That's not their job. And so asking the police to talk about and consider and look into root causes, that's not their job. Their job is to go out there and take people off the streets who have committed crimes and who are a nuisance to the community. Because the people committing the crimes are not the victims, right? It is everyone else. But these people, these progressives, they treat the criminal as the victim.
Right.
And that's what we saw in that video, arresting people for no reason. The tale, they just arrested 2 people for no apparent reason. Like it's just random. And like the person getting arrested is the victim, not the person who's the actual victim of the crime that they committed. Right. And so it's a complete reversal of justice.
Right. Right. And
yeah.
If I may, I saw a video from James Lindsay today that was so good. He talked about a lot of the tactics of the Marxists and the communists over the decades. And he said that after talking to friends who had been in communist organizations on college campuses, he said that it was said within those organizations where those people went out and have gone to try to influence in the world. He said that one of the sayings that they always had was, the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution.
Facts.
And so when you see this stuff where they're like, oh, he arrested him for no reason, that person probably, like, most of these people don't even realize that they have been infected with this jacked up ideology that is really intended to overthrow the rule of law and to deconstruct and reconstruct the United States into a communist country. They don't know that. So like, I know that a lot of people get tired of hearing us call everything Marxism or whatever, but when we say that, we're not just running our mouths. Like, these ideas came from people who do not want the things that make America strong to persist. And the rule of law is one of those things. And people start to lose trust in institutions and start looking for another answer when the rule of law begins to break down. And so when you don't police crime, people start looking for somebody else to be the authority.
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Yep.
They want the opening for America to be open to a revolution. I'm just saying, I see it.
And one thing I've tried to make clear in my writings and things I've done is that what we're seeing now in the U.S. is not conservatism versus liberalism, like right versus left, red versus blue. That's not really what is going on. What you have is 2 competing worldviews. You have the worldview of the West, So think Western civilization, the historic worldview of the West, which is largely founded on Judeo-Christian worldview and values, right? And that competing worldview is the worldview of Marxism, which sees the world through a lens of oppressors and the oppressed, right? So whatever the issue is, whether it's immigration, whether it's crime, whether it's whatever it is, the progressive left always views it through a lens of oppressors and oppressed. Israel, Palestine, right?
Boom. Boom.
Straight versus queer, right? Everything is viewed, we call it identity politics, but it's simply just a Marxist lens of viewing the world and viewing every issue through that lens, right? And that is the lens in which they wish to usurp the Western lens of viewing the world, or the Western way of the world, right? So they want to overthrow whiteness and all of this type of stuff, right? It's the same thing. The issue is never the issue. It's not about immigration. It's not about race. It's not about any of that stuff. It is about identifying the proletariat in every situation and trying to rally around that group to rise up to overthrow the system.
That's exactly
all it
right.
is.
That is 100% facts. Well said.
And once you understand that, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. I get what they're doing. I get what they're saying. Yes, I see it. Right?
Yeah.
It's because it's not complicated. Like It's like, how does trans for Palestine make sense? Like, that is a radical Muslim jihadist state that throws LGBTQ people off of buildings, but yet you got trans for Palestine people, because the proletariat, the oppressed in each category in their minds, are connected in one struggle, right?
Correct.
And so even though it makes no sense, they see themselves as co-fighters of liberation.
Yes. Yes. I love that you pointed that out. I love that you pointed out that they look at whoever they deem as the oppressed group as being in the proletariat. That's right.
Yes. Yes. And so think about Marxism being economic, right? The proletariat was the working class, right? Scrap that. Cultural Marxism looks at culture. Who are the proletariats in these various identity groups, right? Or these various situations. And so they couldn't create a proletariat based on economics, because the Western economic powers were too strong, like the middle class, and people had good lives and stuff like that. And so Marxism didn't take off. So it's like, okay, what can we use? And so they switched to cultural issues. They switched to race, right? And that's why in the 1920s and 1930s, they heavily tried to influence the Black community, which they did. And by the 1950s, you get Martin Luther King and the Civil Rights Movement, which I know I'm getting in trouble, but it was a product of that Marxist push to get Black people to rise up. The issue is never the issue. It wasn't really about civil rights. The issue is the revolution, right?
Yes.
And so the revolution, the civil rights issue, was just a way to then get to what Dr. King called democratic socialism, right?
That's right.
And I know we are way off topic, but
but I mean, see, we're helping people understand how do we get here to these group of middle class, white people on the side of the road yelling at the feds, right? Like, how do we get there to where they think it's arresting random people and it's fascism to round up violent criminals? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how do we get there? It's cultural.
You said
Marxism.
Violent criminals is a dog whistle for Black people. That's racist.
Right. Right. And listen, don't hear what me and Kev are not saying. Don't hear what we're not saying. We're not saying that, for instance, with the civil rights era, that things didn't need to change. Things did need to change. We're just saying that a lot of the juice behind the civil rights movement, how the folks who were the protesters which black people were not all in unison that the people who were doing the protesting were doing the right thing. A lot of them were trained by Marxists, and they were being used. That's what we're saying. We are saying that a lot of the ideology that you're seeing play out, where everybody's screaming fascism about everything, is not because it's actually fascism. It's because they were trained. People back then were trained to say that. They were projecting. They were trained to project. And then it started to spread in society. So now you got all these good liberals saying this stuff because their Marxist professor taught it to them in college. And we're saying this is the same thing that was behind a lot of the activity from black folks during the civil rights movement, because Martin Luther King was a Marxist. He was trained by a Marxist. And he was pushing that.
And surrounded by Marxists. Yeah,
his
crew,
speechwriters
were Marxists.
His people were Marxists. The ideas, they fully intended to not only, they did want to secure better rights for black people, but they fully intended to try to push Marxism as a part of that. They were trying to actually have a revolution of what freedom meant in America. They were trying to do that. That's from Martin Luther King's own mouth. We ain't making this up.
Yeah, he wanted to end capitalism.
Yeah,
and usher in what he called democratic socialism, which is just socialism. It's no different.
Right.
When you listen to
you vote for the change. You vote for the change instead of the change just being put on you. You vote for the change, but the change is still the change.
Yes. And so that is an explanation as to why you have these people on the streets. And so I think you go to the next video. Yeah. I think the next video is going to lay out some of the other points that who's for and against this.
Yeah. Oh, we gotta get some volume on it.
Hear from city leaders and others that crime is actually down. Are you seeing that?
No, I'm not seeing it. We're seeing carjackings, the violence in the communities. So we were advocating then for the National Guard to come out, but they said there was no need. But think about how many lives could have been saved just having them on the scene.
And Asia says still to this day, she's not heard from one detective about those crimes committed against her family. Now for Tempe Satcher, another D.C. resident, her son BJ was gunned down in a random drive-by shooting on the way to work 2 years ago, and she does not feel that crime has calmed down.
Just today, a young lady was shot over on 15th Street in Northeast D.C. Does that seem like crime gone down? With all the things that are going on with our president, sending the National Guards out, I don't have a problem with that personally, because if MPD can't do it and they need help, then I'm glad they're able to get the help.
Yeah.
Hear from city leaders and others.
That is, look at this right here. Okay. We want to talk about intersectionality, okay? We got a black female Muslim saying, send them in. Send them in.
We got to listen to her voice. We have to listen to her voice.
Yeah.
Right? As from the intersections that she represent, her voice carries more weight than the white man sitting next to her. So based on intersectionality, we have to listen to her voice.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, we're playing by you guys' rules, okay? We playing by y'all rules. Y'all said that's how it worked. We need to shut up and listen to her. She got more intersectionality points.
And I will say, I think it was another video I found. I must have decided not to put it in here, but they were going through the numbers, and when it came to black, when it came to race, and when it came to class, black and not, high economic class was very pro this move. White upper class was against it, right? And so the people who are not affected by the crime or affected the least by it are the ones on the street yelling stuff. Whereas
You don't say.
the people, yeah, because I even go back to 2014, 2015 when we were really going through stuff like Ferguson and Freddie Gray in Baltimore and all these things and the whole defund the police movement. But when they polled the people in the communities, it was like 65% of people in those communities wanted more police presence, right? So it's always these activists like BLM who live in safe neighborhoods who are screaming about defund the police, right? While they pay for private security.
Right.
And
right.
it's just
defund
the
the police and take
hypocrisy.
away the guns, but you get picked up in a black Suburban with dudes who got guns.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Think about it. On one hand, they say the system and the country is systemically racist, right? But on the other hand, they say the state is the only one who should have weapons.
Right.
It just makes no sense. Like, if they really believe that about the nation, they should be advocating for minorities to be armed and be able to carry weapons, right? That's what they should be advocating for because they're in danger of the state. But instead, they argue that the state is the only one who should have weapons. It just makes it lets you know they don't really believe what they say. And that is why, James Lindsay said, no, the issue is never the issue. That's why they're so inconsistent. That's why it doesn't make sense because it's not really about the issue. They're just using the issue to bring in the revolution.
That's right. That's right. Look at all these countries. What happens when the citizens lose their armaments? When the citizens lose their right to bear arms, look what happens. You see it in extreme cases. You see it in not so extreme cases. And I'm only saying that because we got a wide range here. We got a wide sliding scale. So, like, look, extreme case would be look at all the companies or the countries that implemented communism. What did they do first? They took the guns because they knew they were never going to be able to do that unless they could overpower the citizenry. And what was their mentality? Only the state should have guns. Only the good revolutionaries, which became the state, should have guns. Look, here's another example. Just take a look at Australia. They took the guns. When you had COVID, look what happened. If you got COVID, they sent you off to a camp where you got locked in an apartment and you weren't allowed to come out except for very specific times of the day. And Australians just had to roll over and take it. Last example I'll give is the UK right now. Right now, you can be arrested for making a mean Facebook post. Am I advocating for mean Facebook posts? No, I believe that everybody should treat each other with respect. I believe that there should be a certain level of decorum, but I don't believe that it should be policed. And a lot of the things that they deem as mean are not mean. They're just stating things that are true that happen to not be very politically correct. And what happens? They get arrested. And there's videos of these people being arrested. And
I think the numbers that I saw is 25 on average, 25 to 30 people a day get arrested in the UK for something they posted online.
Dang,
dude.
Yeah. And they know. You ain't gonna do that. You ain't gonna do that here.
Nah.
That's not gonna be a thing here. Nah. One, because we actually have a law. We have a law against that. But two, we have another law right behind that law that makes sure that we have the first law. So we got the First Amendment. The First Amendment is guarded by the Second Amendment. I'm just saying.
Yep. On the topic of guns, I'll share this real quick. It was someone on X talking, and they were talking to someone who's in like the Russian military. It's like a general, and he's actually said that they weren't afraid of our military. They felt like they understood and can handle our military. Now that was naive, but that's what he said. He said what they were afraid was if they ever got to the shore, they had no answer for the fact that everybody had a gun.
Right.
Like they had no answer for how do you take over a country where everybody's a combatant. You know? And so that's another thing people don't understand about us having a Second Amendment and so many guns in our nation. We can never be physically invaded by another force.
No.
It's just it's 350 million people with guns.
If y'all know what's good for you, you better land in San Francisco. You better not land in Georgia. You better not land in South Carolina.
I'll just say don't land in the Gulf Coast. That's all I'll say.
You're gonna get lit up before you even get off the boats. Before you even get off the boats, you're gonna be lit up. Every Texan will be saying, I've been waiting for this my entire life. I've been waiting for y'all to try it.
Smiling.
Yeah.
Smiling.
Yeah. What did this one comedian, man, he had me dying when he said this. He's like, you know why another country won't invade us? We have something that other countries don't have. And I'm not talking about our military. I'm talking about rednecks. He said, good old boys with an entire arsenal in their basement waiting for just such an occasion as this.
Just waiting. Like, dream come true.
He said the military would arrive and they would see nothing but NASCARs and beer cans up I-95 and dudes holding beers and shotguns jumping off the back of their pickup truck saying, war's over, baby.
with pet alligators.
That's right. Can you imagine if them dudes landed in Florida, man? Man.
Florida man? With Florida man?
Yeah. Nah. Florida man, you probably get lit up. You get lit up by his alligator. His alligator probably knows how to shoot a rifle. I'm just saying. they ain't coming over here.
Whether it's Texas, whether it's Louisiana, whether it's Mississippi, Alabama, like the whole Gulf Coast, right? If you land anywhere there, that ain't good. That ain't gonna be good for you.
You do not want the smoke. I mean, I'm thinking to myself that if it ever happened, I'm not gonna lie. Me and my buddies already have contingency plans. We have contingency plans if something like that happens, domestic or foreign invader. We have contingency plans. We know whose house we meeting up at. We know who got what gear. Like you don't want to come over here. You don't want to be out here.
And that's it. They know that, and that's why like this whole fear that like some president is gonna like take control and not have an election. Like that's not feasible. It's not gonna happen.
It's not. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
That's not in this country.
No. That's what one of the things that makes the USA great is that right there.
Yeah.
Is that right there.
Absolutely. But just back to the crime thing, like I said, there are several cities that I wish they would do this in. It's needed. People deserve it to live. Regardless of your social economic status, you deserve to live in a safe neighborhood. Your children should be able to go out and play out in the yard and play out in the street without you worrying about someone getting shot, you know? That's and right. No, the solution is we got to take all the guns off the street. Like, no, that'll never happen.
Look at DC. Look at DC. Some of the strictest
tough gun laws. Very strict gun laws in DC. Yeah. People who commit crimes don't care. People who commit crimes don't care. You know?
Look at Chicago.
I mean, especially, man, you see some of these videos of these young guys like in places like Memphis, where they're just walking around with like these, AK-47s and like, it's crazy. Like it's just a mindset. And so, there's no law you can pass that's gonna stop that type of violent crime unless you take those people off the streets. Right, that are terrorizing the neighborhood. And the thing is, it's a minority. It's a minority of people in the community who terrorize the community. And the people in the community just want those people gone. Right.
Right.
And when it happens, I got to say this. And when it happens, do not come back talking about how Black people are overrepresented in the prison system. That means it's systemically racist. No, that goes back to what I said about the 94 crime bill. Just because, someone is overly represented doesn't mean that it was some type of systemic issue.
Correct.
No. We just got to be honest about who's committing the vast majority of violent crime.
Right.
And deal with it. So.
No, yeah. I mean, that's right, man. I'm interested, I know that you get a chance to speak with, a lot of folks, especially Black conservatives kind of out there on the front lines. I'm curious about what kind of experience you're having. Do you see the attitudes of Black people in general changing about, kind of acknowledging the problem? Do you see any of that attitude shifting at all, or is it still the same?
It's tough because, so with Black conservatives, like Black conservatives gonna always say, we've been saying what the problem is. I'm going to a conference next week, so FYI, if you watch it, we won't have a show next week. I will be in South Carolina at a conference. It's called CFAD, Christian Families Against Destructive Decisions. It is basically conservative Black churches and leaders come together to talk about the issues of the Black family and how we can improve and encourage more marriage and stuff like that within the Black community. And so, but the problem is that conference should be huge, but it's not, because when we talk about Black people, there's a reason that my other podcast is called Off Code. Behind the scenes, people will talk about what the issues are, but publicly, we won't talk about them because we think it makes us look bad. We stay on code. And so the issue is, politically and socially, publicly, we will never advocate for the real solutions, right? It will always be whatever the Democrat Party tells us is the talking points to be, right? And that's just being real. And so the attitude has always been there that, she needs to stop having kids. She ain't got no husband. He's sorry. He need to get a job. He need to pull his pants up. All they do is sit on the porch all day and smoke weed. They will say those things behind closed doors.
That's right.
But then when there's a camera in front, it's all about systemic racism.
And
they
the criminal is the victim.
Yeah. And so that's the frustrating part, right? We can't be honest, and we've been dishonest for decades. Publicly, but behind the scenes, we know what the problem is. So the attitudes haven't changed because we've always known what the issues were. The reason the Black conservative gets blackballed is because we say it out in public, and they don't like that because you're going off code and you're messing up the political game, right? Because it's all about, I've said it before, Black people, we spent the last 60, the civil rights movement taught us that our political power came through our grievance. And so instead of focusing on empowering ourselves and improving, we have spent the last 60 years ensuring we don't lose the grievance. That is why publicly we won't talk about these things. Publicly we won't admit what the real problem is, because it takes away our grievance against white people in the system, right? That we use for political power and social power. And, all of a sudden we get DEI programs where we get promotions and jobs, and we got a Black female police chief in DC. Like, they don't want that to go away. And so the grievance has to keep going, right? Sadly. And so the reason they don't like the Black conservative, because the Black conservative says out loud what everyone knows to be true, right? And then you get called a sellout, an Uncle Tom, a coon, all this type of stuff, to try to silence you, and also to try to discourage anyone else from following your lead, right? It's just a game. It's just a game. And so, no, that the mindsets haven't changed, because the mindset has always been there. People know what the issue is. We're just not willing to say it publicly because everybody has to stay on code.
Yeah. And I think that is sad because I don't think anything. I don't think major change is going to be seen until people are willing to stop having a difference between being on code and being off code. I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to see a major change until that
No.
time. But you know, I remain
that's a
hopeful.
comment.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
go
yeah.
ahead. Remain
You
hope-
talking about?
Yeah, I will say this because there was recently a trend called Black fatigue, right? And you saw Black people getting on Twitter, getting on, and just basically saying, we tired of ninjas, right? Like, we tired of the ratchetness, we tired of the bonnets and flip-flops and house shoes and just the complete ratchetness of it all. Like, Black fatigue wasn't just about, white people being tired of it. Was Black people saying, we are tired of the ratchet class. But I get the feeling that the vast majority of those people making those type of videos were already people who were somewhat off code. I guarantee those were people who had already, where they were Brexit or, tend to be, somewhat conservative. And then it still remains to be seen. Let's say someone did come to the realization, like, you know what, I'm tired of this. Next election, how they vote. That's going to tell you whether or not, or do they just go back? Do they get back in line and still just vote the same way every time because, they start buying into the narrative all over again?
Yeah, because they start talking about the struggle. They start thinking about the quote unquote struggle. And man, I will say that the crime problems in different areas, like you showed in the video, the people actually on the ground in those neighborhoods, they know what's up. They not out here fronting. They willing to go on the news, and they're willing to say, I don't have a problem with it. And at the cookout, when they say that, you're gonna have some people like, oh, what you talking about? But then when they state their case, and I've been there so many times, I've been in the barbershop when somebody states something that's contrarian, that's not typical, orthodox, blackity blackness. I think somebody orthodox blackity blackness. I've been there, and that person will say something, and the other people will be like, oh, no, and then he'd be like, no, all right, they calm him down, and they're like, we got to hear the brother out, and then he makes his case, and then you got brothers on the other side are like, he got a point though. He kind of got a point. And then all of a sudden people like, yeah, he does have a point. It do be, crime do be bad though. They start talking like that. But that's they behind closed doors. Those are the kind of conversations that happen behind closed doors. And I think it's starting to be okay to admit, no, I don't want to live in fear that I'm gonna get hit by a stray.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
DC people are saying that.
Yeah, and one of the reasons is because of shows like ours that are willing to say what is true, and the more the more people who are willing to speak out and say it, the more people who are willing to be that other guy in the barbershop and actually say it, the more other people feel like, what, it's okay to say it. I just got to say it, and so at least with the last election, we talked about there was a rise in Black men who voted for Trump.
Yep.
And so on the Black men side, there is definitely some change happening. Black women are still 95%, rocking with Kamala and just staying on, but I know, man, we're hoping that, there is some change. So there's a lot of videos I could have put in for tonight, but Joe Scarborough on MSNBC, they were talking about this. And they were talking about how the Democrats are basically, it's a losing argument because they're not listening to the people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the defund the police and like it's like, you're going to push people to Trump if you keep ignoring this crime issue.
Yep.
Right? And this is this is the liberal news stuff that are saying, y'all can't keep ignoring this stuff because The people on the street see it completely differently,
Right.
And so if Trump is doing so many things that are wins, if you're just in opposition to anything he does, you're putting yourself in the losing position every time. And that's what they're doing, because they have no strategy for actually winning or promoting their own ideas. They're simply the opposition, right?
Yeah.
And so because their own ideas are what's happening in New York and Minneapolis, right? I don't know how hard they want to push those nationwide, but
I mean,
yeah.
dude,
And so
that's well said, because I think Mamdani winning, actually, that's probably going to help Republicans in 2026. That's going to help Republicans if he wins, because he's going to start doing some stuff, and New York City's not going to get better, and it's not going to help Democrats, and I think that their fealty, because, like we said before, the issue is never the issue. The issue is always the revolution. The reason they're doubling down is because they're taking the revolutionary position on these things, and it would be them going against the orthodoxy of cultural Marxism to agree with some of this stuff. And so you're starting to see you have some Democrats here and there, some Democrats who are willing to admit this is craziness, right? Like the gentleman from Pennsylvania, what's his name again?
Shapiro? Oh no, you're talking about the senator.
Yes,
they had the stroke.
Fetterman.
Yeah.
He admitted it. There was another. I think there was a Midwest Democrat, who acknowledged during the Biden administration, this isn't what people voted for. They didn't vote for extreme liberal policies. They voted for normalcy, and then somehow the Biden administration, they made stuff look even crazier. They went ahead and went full retard, and they made Trump look attractive to most of the country.
They did.
They did. And I think that they're going to keep doing that. And I think it's they're going to have to make a break, whether it's real or faked, with some of that progressive orthodoxy in order to stop talking crazy in front of people. I don't see how they do it.
I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, because when Kamala lost, everyone thought, okay, they're going to have a come to Jesus meeting and realize that they're wrong. And instead, what I saw a lot of progressive YouTubers say is she lost because she wasn't progressive enough. So they want to double down on progressivism. They believe she needs to go harder left. She needs to. The American public will believe our socialist ways if we just sell it. We got to really believe in and sell it, and stop trying to be moderate, right?
Who said that?
And that's all of those people, because they were trying to analyze why she lost, and of course they say misogyny and all this type of stuff. But at the end of the day, they said she wasn't progressive. She didn't give the American people something to believe in. She was trying to be too moderate and all this type of stuff. Yeah, that was their analysis. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing in New York, because they're doubling down on socialism. They are doubling down on being committed to leftism. Yeah, and so they're not coming to the middle. They aren't.
Man, yeah. And that goes along with what Jay and 12 is saying here. Said I saw something where Stephen A. Smith said the AOC and Jasmine Crockett are ruining the Dem Party and driving people to Trump. So the Dem Party seems to be very divided right now. I mean, they got problems. Democratic Party definitely has problems. And their problem is that the people, the most radical wing of the party, has control now. They have control of the party, right? Like Trump knows that he can't just he did get a lot of influence, especially after he got shot. My goodness, man, dude's influence went through the roof after he got shot. But
kind of like 50 Cent,
right? 50 got mad street cred after getting shot.
Got shot 9 times.
I'm just saying. I'm saying I remember being in high school. People talking about 50. And when they talked about 50, they talked, that dude got shot. That dude got shot in the mouth and lived. It just 50 was hard. I mean that basically was like, oh, that dude tough. That dude hard.
And regardless of what people say, sadly enough, a lot of the things that happened to Trump, being targeted by the system, getting the mug shot, getting shot, it gave him cred.
It did. It gave him street cred. And I heard all kind of black dudes saying that. It's like, he one of us now.
Yeah.
Dude from the hood saying he one of us.
Sadly.
I mean, dude, in Atlanta, he drove through the hood and there were black men and women on the side of the road saying free Trump.
Yes.
In Atlanta.
This is what people don't realize too. Before he ran for president and got demonized by the left, the black community loved Trump.
They did.
Rappers loved Trump.
They did,
right?
Dude.
It was a big, he was cool. And then he ran for president as a Republican and they got told he was racist all of a sudden, right?
Right.
And so, but yeah, that element is still there.
Yeah.
But speaking of 2026, I think our next issue is going to play a big role in the midterms. And I don't like it because I'm seeing I think it's a Trojan horse, but we're going to talk about it. So let's look at it.
So brief us on the issue here, Mr. Briggins.
Yeah. So Obergefell, the Obergefell decision was a Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage in all 50 states, right? And it's been asked to be revisited by the Supreme Court. And so we have a new Supreme Court. It's a very conservative court. And there's talk of that it could potentially be overturned. Now, the video we're going to play is going to bring up some reasons why it won't be. And why it's being brought. So if you guys remember that clerk in Kentucky that got arrested because she wouldn't hand out marriage certificates to gay couples right after the decision, and she ended up just resigning. Well, she's the one who's bringing this to the court because I think she got sued or something like that. She keeps losing her appeal. And so she's asking the Supreme Court to be like, hey, will y'all look at this and overturn this because that is the reason for her legal issues now. And so it's not like this. It's not like a bunch of conservative Christians got together and said, we need to try to overturn this. No, this is a woman who's facing her own legal battles tied to this decision and is asking the Supreme Court to relook at it and overturn it. Right. So we can play and they're going to talk about her. And once you see her picture and stuff, you're going to remember when she was in the news. It was a big deal because she was planting her feet and she was refusing to hand out these marriage certificates. But go ahead.
A decade after the Supreme Court's landmark Obergefell decision extending the right to marriage to same-sex couples across the country, the Supreme Court could soon consider whether to take up a case asking them to overturn it. Joining us now to discuss is Tom Dupree. He served as the Deputy Assistant Attorney General in the Bush administration and is a constitutional law attorney. So if you would, Tom, just to start off here, can you explain to our viewers who this petitioner is in this case, what her argument is for overturning the ruling that granted same-sex couples the right to marry nationwide, and why that is so significant here?
Sure. Well, the person involved is Kim Davis, and she's a clerk in Kentucky who basically disagreed with the Supreme Court's decision legalizing same-sex marriage and essentially refused to comply with what the Supreme Court said. In other words, she wouldn't issue same-sex marriage certificates and that sort of thing. So there was a lawsuit involving that. She lost the lawsuit. She is now asking the United States Supreme Court to get involved and hear her case. And she's asked the court to reconsider the Obergefell decision. That's the one that legalized same-sex marriage, and invited the court to take her case and reverse that decision.
What is the likelihood that the High Court would take this up?
I think it's unlikely. Anyone can ask the Supreme Court to take their case, but the Supreme Court actually takes very few of the cases that it's presented with. Here, I think it's unlikely they're going to take it. There certainly are some justices who I think would vote to overrule the same-sex marriage decision. Justice Thomas, for example, has been very upfront about he thinks it was wrongly decided and should be reversed. I suspect Justice Alito feels the same way. There are also other conservative justices who may not be big fans of that decision, but I think it's quite another step to say that they're going to take this case and reverse the decision. I think the likelier outcome is they'll take a pass on this case and possibly revisit this issue in future years.
All right, so I want to read part of the argument from Davis's attorney. He writes, this court should revisit and reverse Obergefell for the same reasons articulated in Dobbs v. Jackson, Women's Health Center. Obergefell was wrong when it was decided, and it is wrong today because it was grounded entirely on the legal fiction of substantive due process. What do you make of that argument?
Well, I think if you are trying to get the Supreme Court interested in taking this case, that's probably the right way to frame the argument. The case that he's talking about, the Dobbs decision, as you know, that was the one where the Supreme Court reversed Roe versus Wade. And they basically said that Roe versus Wade, which recognized the right to abortion, rested on this concept of substantive due process, that the Constitution basically gave you a substantive right to choose an abortion. The Obergefell decision, the same-sex marriage decision, was also grounded in this concept of substantive due process. So what they are saying is that the same logic, the same rationale that led you to reverse Roe versus Wade should apply equally here and should also lead you to overrule the same-sex marriage decision.
And after the Dobbs decision, as we know, one Supreme Court Justice, Clarence Thomas, had this call to revisit the Obergefell case. Tell us more about your thinking there. Do you think that there are other justices who could be on the same page as him? If so, which ones?
I think there are other justices who, if they were deciding the same-sex marriage question today, writing on a blank slate, might well say the Constitution does not protect same-sex marriage. Certainly Justice Alito feels that way. Obviously, Justice Thomas feels that way. Chief Justice Roberts, I think, probably feels that way. He was one of the dissenters in the original Obergefell case. It's possible that the other justices, some of the conservatives, including Justices Kavanaugh, Justice Barrett, Justice Gorsuch, possibly, they may also disagree with the rationale. But to my mind, there's a big difference between disagreeing with the outcome in that case and being poised to overrule it. There's that concept of stare decisis, that if a Supreme Court decides a case, you let it rest on the books in place unless there are incredibly compelling reasons to revisit it. And there may be conservative justices who aren't the biggest fans of substantive due process, but they're not poised to overrule the same-sex marriage case so soon after it was decided.
What is your message to families who see these headlines about the fate of same-sex marriage and worry their own marriages, both past and future, could be invalidated?
Well, I totally understand how it could be disconcerting, to say the least, to see your rights or something that appeared at least a few years ago to be well-settled constitutional law being revisited or at least questioned from some quarters. But I would say a few things. One is that the likelihood of the Supreme Court taking this case and reversing Obergefell, I think, is unlikely at this point for the reasons we've discussed. The other thing is that Congress also passed a law that basically would make any situation where this decision gets reversed apply prospectively only. So even if the Supreme Court were to take this case, reject same-sex marriage, that wouldn't automatically have the effect of invalidating marriages that are already on the books, but it was something that would only apply going forward.
All right, Tom Dupree, thank you so much.
Thoughts, sir?
Yeah. So the fact that they might not take it has just to do with decorum and the unwritten rules of the court, right? And not the legal precedence of whether this thing is good law or not. Because anyone who played it wasn't a good law. Just like Roe v. Wade was never a good law, right? The idea that the Constitution guarantees something like this, it's just not. It just doesn't hold up, right? Judicial activism of the left is what got us here. Not the will of the people, not Congress passing a law. Matter of fact, Proposition 8 in California was rejected. Even in California, they couldn't get gay marriage to pass in the state of California because people were against it. And so the left does what the left does. When they can't get anything done through legislation because people are against their agendas, they run to the courts. And they ran to the court, and they got the court to sign off and make law for them. But it's always it's bad law. It's just the Constitution doesn't guarantee you that. And I'm sorry, but in the Civil Rights Act, the word sex, meaning gender, male and female, does not mean sexual orientation.
Correct.
Right? They read that into the word sex.
Yeah.
Right? It's just,
yeah.
I hate dishonesty.
Right.
I hate dishonesty. If you're going to make your argument. Right? And so this idea, because this was a redefinition of marriage. Right? And this idea that marriage was just a union between two people, just two people, and you're trying to take the fact that there was man and woman out of it, it was just dishonest. I hate dishonesty. Regardless of what you feel about gay marriage, you pro-gay marriage, make your argument, but do it honestly. Don't sit up here and lie like marriage isn't between a man and a woman, right? If you want to say it should be between a man and a woman and a woman, make that argument, but don't lie and say that marriage wasn't between a man and a woman. It was just two people. No, that's just being dishonest, right? And so at the time, that was one of my biggest beefs was you're just lying to us. You're just lying. The concept of husband and wife is gendered, right?
Correct.
Marriage, anyone who argues marriage is not between a man and a woman should just not be taken seriously because you're a liar, right? Regardless of what your advocacy is for and what position you want to see the outcome of, if you can't argue it from an honest perspective, then that tells me you have no argument, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't have to lie and be dishonest just to try to get your point or prove, get this law passed. And so, yeah, they redefined what marriage was just because they wanted to. And like I said, it was just this idea that the Constitution guarantees this right to you. It just isn't true. And so it should be overturned. And we're going to play another video because if you don't understand the Obergefell decision, then you don't understand why Trump is in office in 2016. It is a major reason. It's a major reason. And so
I agree with that, and I think that that we'll talk about this more after we watch this next video. But y'all hear Kev and I talk about some of the effects of the Civil Rights Act. Obergefell is one of the effects. That is part of the where the Civil Rights Act overstepped. Obergefell is one of the parts of that, and it is unfortunate that it's like that, but that is the case, and so I think that one of the important things to consider here is not whether we are going to give people the ability to do certain things, right? There are certain, states can still make a certain decision one way or another. Yeah, Matt. Kev just put the black square in the bio. States can still make certain decisions with what they want to do. It's just a matter of is it on what basis? On what basis are we going to do that? And what does the law really afford a person? And some of the overstepping that happened there, it led to cases like what we're going to see, which, it's a case that you all know very well, is the gentleman in Colorado who kept getting sued over baking cakes for same-sex weddings. Let's take a look.
Jack, I want to begin with you. You're obviously being targeted. Who is behind this latest attack?
Yeah, this time, Laura, I really feel like I'm being harassed. I've been sued by the state twice now, and they've lost both times. And the attorney that instigated the second lawsuit against me is now taking it to sue me personally, and this time asking for damages and legal fees, which would lead me to bankruptcy and ruin my company.
Yeah, now, Jeremy, hasn't this person harassed Jack over email as well? And again, this is now wanting a cake to celebrate gender transition. I mean, what does that cake look like? I'm not
I mean, certainly it's very unfortunate to see the kind of emails that were sent to Jack, but we can't forget the state's role in this too. The state, in its open hostility to Jack, has clearly created a lack of tolerance for people like him. And now we see private individuals stepping into the shoes of the state and trying to do to Jack what the state couldn't do.
And the Supreme Court said you cannot target people and offend their religious sensibilities in the way that they were trying to do when the first go around when it came to the cake for the same-sex wedding.
That's right. The Supreme Court said this kind of open hostility to religion has no place in our society. And Colorado and now its citizens didn't get the message.
Yeah, and Jack, Governor Jared Polis, leftist, of course, governor of the state of Colorado, was ultimately, had to pull back this lawsuit. But basically saying the private individual involved, well, that person can go on and sue you, and that's what's happened here. Are you an object lesson for the whole country that if you dare to stand up for your own religious beliefs, you will be tarred, you will be demeaned, and frankly, yourself dehumanized, and they've really hurt you financially, really hurt you?
Yeah, they really have. The state took away 40% of my business, which was my wedding business, the first go around. And the thing is, I serve everybody who comes to my shop. I welcome everybody, and I'd be glad to create cakes for anybody that comes in. But I don't create every cake and every message that people ask me to in a cake. So.
And Jeremy, this gardenia person, this is a mission. I mean, this is a mission to send a message. Don't you dare demand equal access to express your views, because our views and our beliefs trump yours. You're a bigot. That's the message. Any Christian conservative who thinks like Jack thinks is a bigot. That's what they want to say.
The goal is to silence Jack, to banish him from public life, to financially ruin him, and to send a message of intimidation to people who share Jack's beliefs, that they have no place in public life, have no right to earn a livelihood, and follow the religious conviction simultaneously.
Jack, the attorney for the plaintiff here, is saying this is about honoring the dignity of individuals transitioning, and that has to be honored across the board, regardless of your particular conscience or religious beliefs. Your reaction, are you dishonoring people's dignity?
Well, in this case, the cake that we were asked to create was a cake that was blue on the outside and pink on the inside, and the colors were specific to celebrate that transition. And while I'd be glad to serve transgenders or gays or anybody, I just can't create every cake that I'm asked to create. And in this case, this was a message that I couldn't create, and we tried to convey that to this individual. We'll serve you in any other capacity, but this is a cake. We will serve you. We serve everybody.
Yeah, they serve everyone, and they're still targets. This is ongoing harassment. We'll continue to cover it. Both of you, thank you for being here.
Yeah. So he was one of those bakers that got sued early on. When the Obama administration was arguing for gay marriage, or when gay marriage was being argued, it was asked, hey, would this have an effect on religious institutions and their tax exempt status? And the answer was possibly. Right. And for those who don't remember, when interracial marriage was passed, the federal government threatened churches and Christian universities and institutions that if they did not allow interracial marriage, they would lose their tax exempt status. Right.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Or Roberts almost lost. They had to say, okay. And they just gave in. Regardless of what you think about interracial marriage or not, the federal government was using that power to force religious institutions into what they wanted them to do. Right. And so people were using that same mindset when it came to gay marriage. And so people who were aware of the Oral Roberts situation knew, hey, for churches, if you stand on your Christian convictions and say, hey, we don't believe in this, the federal government could come in and take away your tax exempt status. And you could say, well, that's no big deal. They shouldn't have tax exempt status anyway. What you don't understand is a lot of churches, let's say a church in New York that is downtown Manhattan. You think they can really afford the taxes on that building if they had to pay the land? They don't bring in enough money to pay the taxes of what that building is worth, right? No. A lot of Christian universities, that own a lot of acreage and a big campus and buildings. If that got assessed as a tax thing and they got a bill for the taxes, property taxes, they couldn't afford it, right?
Right.
And so it was really threatening to shut you down, right? And that's why they know that, and you really have to comply. Because it's either you comply or we close your doors. And so the state, it was the one being authoritarian in that. And so, and this is what I will say, because I got into a conversation on social media about this. This is what Christians learned. There is no neutrality. Secularism doesn't exist. This idea that it's neutral, no. Someone's right, someone's moral, someone's values will always be pushed, right? And so this idea that we can just have this secular society, no, because we see the fight going on here, right? And so that's the context for what was happening in 2015, 2016, right? And when Trump came along, and now people saying, man, how could 81% of evangelicals vote for Donald Trump and all of his history and all the stuff he was saying? Because this is what was happening under an Obama administration. And you want to put in a Hillary administration for 4 more years with all the Supreme Court seats that are about to come open? Man, conservatives and Christians was like, it's going to be bad. Yeah. So think about Trump got in office and look at the people he put on the bench, right? Now, look at the context of what was happening to Christians in 2015, 2016. Now, imagine Hillary wins and Hillary fills those seats. Do you think, so that guy ended up winning the decision because the Supreme Court finally came in and said, hey, religious liberty, you can't do this, right? If Hillary had been the one to put those people on the bench, that dude would not have won that case.
Right.
Christians right now would not be able to say no to the LGBTQ community at all.
That's right.
He only won that case because Trump got elected and conservatives got put on the Supreme Court. That's it. And so if you don't understand that context, you don't understand why Trump got so much support from the Christian community and why there's so much kind of visceral against Obama and what he did. And it has nothing to do with him being black. It was the fact that he was a very, very progressive president,
correct?
Who ushered in this nonsense. And for the people who are tired of the woke stuff and the LG and the I would say the Q and the T stuff, this is where it started. Yep. It started with Obergefell.
Yep.
You normalize this stuff, and once you normalize it, you have no ability to pick guardrails on how far it goes. So you can't just have LGB without Q and T.
Correct.
You can't, because you have no foundation as to why you just stop at LGB. There's no moral foundation There is no hard line foundation as to why that's the line. Now, there was one for why the line was at men and women, right? I'm going to give everybody a biology lesson, right? Birds and the bees. You got this thing and you got this thing, and it goes like that. And that is how it works. That's wrong, right. Like, that's just common sense, birds and the bees, right? So, and so like the idea that we will argue something else other than that to be allowed and to be the standard and to be normalized and to say love is love, you have no foundation as to how far that goes because you just blew it all up. So if you are tired of the Q and the T stuff and all of the woke crazy, then you got to go back and look at how we got here. And how we got here is the Obergefell decision, legalizing gay marriage, normalizing this stuff, and now the genie's out the bottle or the toothpaste is out the tube, right? And so I just say for people who have this certain sentiment, once again, like now they're adopting children, right? And now you got surrogacy. You got women basically having babies to sell them off to gay couples. Like we have just completely lost our minds because we removed all the common sense. We removed all the guardrails, right? And it's just people aren't thinking, they're just going off emotions, right? The whole love is love, the whole we got to be tolerant, we got to be accepting, we got to be this, we got to be that. No, you have to have a functioning society. And that functioning society has to be based on something, right? And it used to be based on Judeo-Christian values and worldview, right? And you decided that was too oppressive. And so you got rid of it. And now you got the woke crazy stuff. And now you're saying, oh, we need the Christians back. Okay, you want us back, then this is what's going to have to happen. We got to address this. Either you want common sense back, or we want to pretend like this don't go to this.
You're killing me, bro.
I mean, I hate we got to do it, but apparently some people don't get that. That's not how it works. These things were designed for a particular function. If you need an instruction manual, I can write one for you. I'm just saying, man, this shouldn't be controversial.
Oh, Lord.
This shouldn't be controversial, man.
Oh, man.
Call it what
thank
you
Dr.
want.
Kev.
Call it bigotry. Call it homophobia. Call it what you want. I'm just calling it common sense, right? And I will call it what it is. It is a perversion, right? Perversion is the use of something other than its intended use, right? And so that's what that is. And once you open that up, there are no guardrails. So we got the Q and the T, and I'm telling you, the P is coming. The minor attracted persons is coming.
Right.
It's coming, y'all.
Right.
They've already trying to say these kids know who they are. They're already trying to say that these kids can make their own decisions in terms of knowing like what their gender is. They can make these decisions, and then they're keeping it from the parents, and they're affirming the child. I'm telling you, the next step is saying that child can determine who they love.
Yeah.
Quote unquote love. I'm telling y'all. So I get my progressive friends, I get my liberal friends, I get my libertarian friends. But if you don't stop with the nonsense and just put your brain in your head for 1 second, we are going to end up there. And we said it when this happened that we were going to get to this crazy. And I was, oh, y'all are crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. Kind of when Dennis Prager went on Bill Maher and said, they're going to start saying men can menstruate. And they laughed at him. Bill Maher laughed at him. It's like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. They laughed that man off the stage. And then fast forward, here we are. I'm telling y'all, if you don't start listening to conservatives, if you don't start listening to Christians, when we tell you the way culture is going, you're going to end up like, I mean, how do we get here? How do we get to the point where we normalize minor attracted persons? I'm telling you, we going there.
Conservatives call that.
Unless you want to get there, then you got to walk some things back that you kind of hold dear to yourself. And this is it. This is it. You can't normalize perversion and then try to say how far the perversion can go. You just can't do it. So,
right.
Man and a woman, everybody knows that. Birds and the bees. I'm not going to do it again. Don't worry. I'm just saying. When that is the basis, everybody can say, okay, I agree with that. I see why that is. That it's kind of basic common sense. I get that. Once you blow that up and say anything can be anything, okay, then anything's going to be anything. Love is just love.
That's right.
That's just stay the slogan.
That's right. I mean, you're right. You're right. And I mean, it essentially comes down to, like you said, you got to be working from a particular foundation. And if the foundation is gone, when you've fallen, there's nothing to stop the fall. So you're exactly right. Y'all wanted the L and the G and the B. Y'all, you know, the T got added in there, and for a minute everybody's playing along. And then eventually you had even gay people saying, "It's time to end the polite fiction. This is getting out of hand."
Yeah, I mean, you got gays against groomers, right?
Right.
I mean, there are people of that, persuasion that realize the problem as well. Right. I just don't know if they're realizing that where it started and that they're going to have to walk some things back that they hold dear. That's right. I don't know if they fully come to grips, because they just want to say, no, that's too far. Right. Why is it too far? By what standard is it too far?
Right. Hey, I'll throw him a bone, okay? I'll throw him a bone. You could potentially make the argument, if you were willing to admit that biological sex and the patterns that we see in nature do not make room for some of this other craziness. However, that still does not make a moral determination about what should and should not be. And people want the benefits of a society that was conceived based on Christian values, a society that valued every individual. Now, again, I understand at the founding of the country, not every individual was valued by everybody. However, that sentiment was there. It's actually why we wound up having a civil war, is because there was a lot of disagreement at the founding of the country about whether everybody was valued the same or not. There were people who were framers of the Constitution who actually believed that black people should be free. Yes,
and they framed it in a way in which it would be revisited later. It was never settled.
Correct. Yeah. It was an argument, and they put some things in there to make sure that slavery was not protected in the Constitution, even if they couldn't outright outlaw it at the time without jeopardizing the Union, because the South potentially would have joined with Britain and overthrown the North. And so the issue here is that you want to have the benefits of a society conceived from Christian values without having to really keep the Christianity in there. And so when you take out the Christianity, you don't have a framework from which to work. At that point, up can be down and left.
But this is what happened.
Right.
This is what happened. They removed it. And when they removed it, there was no immediate reaction
Right.
Because the country and the culture was already rooted in those ideas.
Right.
What
And it
happened
took a while.
was over time and generation after generation, those ideas and beliefs became less and less. They realized, oh, snap. Right. And so they were living off of the old values without even knowing it. Right. Until they realized it was gone.
That's
and then
right.
it's like, wow, how do we get here? Why is this crazy? And it's like,
That's right.
because you ripped out the foundation for which everything was based on.
Correct.
Right.
And that's how you get Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris admitting that maybe we need a little bit of that Christianity, because what we got when we ripped it out, it was not this freedom that we all thought we were going to have from the moral chains of Christianity and the judgmentalness of Christianity. That's not what you got. What you got was the strong man. You got Islam who came in. That's what happened. And you got the crazy trans stuff that came in because you had nothing by which to say this is off base. You had nothing. You had no standpoint from which to make that claim. No authority.
Yeah. And this is what I will say. And this is why Christianity is important in our culture. Progressivism isn't progressive. It is regressive. And by regressive, what all it's doing is returning us to a pre-Christian Rome. Right?
Correct.
Before Rome was influenced by Christianity and turned over a new moral leaf, you had all of this crazy.
That's right.
Right? Christianity stabilized it. And the West today was built off of it.
Correct.
You're removing that, and only thing you're doing is returning to the debauchery of Rome. That's all you're doing.
Correct.
You are regressing back. You're not moving forward. You're not progressing. Right? Child sacrifice is back in style.
Just didn't look like you thought it would.
Yeah.
That's right.
We just call it
clinic.
Choice now. Yeah, it happens in a clinic. Still child sacrifice.
Right. Back in ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the practice of grooming young men, it's back in style.
Yep.
Back in style. Yep. And we want we have quote unquote minor attracted persons now. And Christians called this back in the 90s. They said this was going to happen. Christians in the 90s said this was going to happen, and like you said, they called them crazy. Yep. They called them extreme. All that stuff. Here we are.
Yep. And go back to what the argument in that case said. Every individual must be, the dignity of every individual must be upheld. The dignity of every individual must be upheld. Now, just play that out. That includes the minor attracted person.
Right.
There is no guardrail to that statement. That's what people don't realize. They say these platitudes, they say these statements like, oh, it sounds good. Yeah, every person's dignity needs to be upheld. But what is the implications of that? You got to bake the cake.
Right.
You got to affirm.
That's right.
You got to do
That's
so
right.
When you extend that out to every person, that includes the minor attracted person. They're included in every person.
That's right.
Right. And that's what people aren't thinking through these things and through these ideologies and these worldviews. It's something that sounds good. People get emotional about it and they go along with it.
That's right.
Right. And all we're saying is stop and think and stop letting these people manipulate you and disciple you into this foolishness, because the road that they're putting you on, they know where they're driving you. You have no idea where you're going. They do.
Yes.
And you're just along for the ride until they take the blindfold off and you wonder how you got there. You know?
Yeah.
And so we're just trying to let you know you've been kidnapped. They threw you in the trunk. Well, no, they ain't throw you in the trunk. You got in the car.
You got in the car. You got in the car.
Yeah.
And
you have the power to get out. And we're saying, get out the car. Right. And stop being worried about holding the right political correct beliefs is what I will say.
Right.
Right. because that's all it is. It's just it's like people during COVID who knew that they didn't have to wear their mask anymore because they had been vaccinated, but they continued to wear their mask because they were worried about what other people were going to think about them.
Correct. It was a cultural.
So many people know these ideas are loony and crazy, but they're afraid to say anything against them because of what the crowd around them is going to say.
That's
going
right.
to think about them.
That's right.
Oh, they're going to think I'm a conservative. They're going to think I'm a Republican or a Christian. I can't speak up against this stuff. I just got to go along with it because love is love.
Yep. Again, we talk about the progressive orthodoxy. And I've watched it where there are folks who just, they don't want the smoke. They don't want the social smoke of opposing any of this stuff, even though they really do.
Yeah.
They don't want the smoke, and so they go along with it. You know, you see some of these videos where people, you know, they go on campus and they start interviewing people and ask them about, ask them about the trans stuff. And what happens? You got people who will say, "Oh no, like, it's got to be this, it's got to be that," and then you wind up having them ask a certain question, a certain way that shows them the road, the logical path that leads down, and they're like, "Oh," or they ask them, they ask them another question, and it's like, well, okay, if you think that, then how do you handle this? And then you see the wheels are turning, and they're like, "Oh crap, they got me. It's checkmate. I know it don't make sense, but just leave me alone. I didn't want to be here.
Yep. Their brain just breaks.
All
or they start just repeating the slogans.
Right.
You just,
And some of them, I can tell. You can see it in their eyes. They're like, I was just trying to be a good person.
Yeah.
I didn't. Why you pressing me? I was just trying to be a good person, because they thought that made them a good person.
Yep.
That's really what they want. So I'm just trying to be a good person, even if I don't agree with it. I gotta go along, because if I don't go along with it, that means I'm not a good person. Or, hey, look, I don't want the smoke, man. I don't want the smoke.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we gotta switch up a little bit. We gotta go to what the X, because we got some stuff to talk about. We gotta do better. We gotta do better in a lot of areas around here.
What the X?
Yeah. So I'm always getting into interesting conversations on X for some reason. And I had an interesting conversation with a white supremacist and named Big Cheese. Don't know if this is a real person or not, but I just took one of the statements they made that was openly racist and decided to highlight it, because I want people to understand that this stuff is still going on. And so, we had Will Spencer on the show to talk about the woke right. And he came out of a lot of these beliefs in these circles. And I can tell you, this person, I could tell had ingested a lot of that material. They were just I always talk about people regurgitating the slogans. This person was just regurgitating the slogans. And I told them, now I didn't want to say what the source was. There is one particular podcast that is very popular that is pushing this stuff out. And the only thing I kept saying to this person is, I can tell what you've been listening to, right? Because it was just repeating the slogans. And so this is one, and he says, it only benefits other races to live with whites. Whites only lose when living around other races. Then he said, call it what you want, and basically call me racist if you want. Then he said, but you guys are civil rights Christians, sad. And so I don't even know what he meant by civil rights Christians. But I did tell him that he don't know me, first of all. Because if he knew my thoughts on the civil rights movement, right? He was assuming something about me. I told him he was racist. I told him he needs to repent, right? And I also told him that he was an arrogant fool for many reasons. And I'm not going to go down the history lesson, but I had to explain to him why Europe ended up being the way it is. And we just kind of talked about it, right? It was the Christian influence in Western Europe that allowed its culture to become what it is. Not because Western Europeans are so great and just naturally great moral people. Like, no, you were influenced by something that the rest of the world wasn't able to be influenced by, right? And it shaped Western civilization. Whereas Islam in the 7th century wiped out Christianity for the most part in the Middle East, in Israel, in Northern Africa. Everywhere the gospel and Christianity has spread to was conquered by Islam, including Eastern Europe, except for Western Europe. And so for hundreds of years, over 1,000 years now, there was one place where Christianity was allowed to be practiced and influence the culture and be studied and be, practiced, and that was in Western Europe. And so if you want to know why your culture thrived, it is because of Christianity, not because you're so great and special, right? And so, yeah. And so I was just trying to explain this to this person, and I basically told him, because they're very anti-Jewish. I was like, you're no different than the Jews, right? The Jews thought that they were special. We're Abraham kids, right? We're God's chosen people, right? And they thought it was because of them. They thought their ethnicity made them special. And God said, no, no. Jesus said, man, we raise up children from these rocks. Like, you're not special. It was God's grace that you're taking for granted, and you're thinking it's about you because you're prideful and arrogant. And I basically just told this guy that. And he finally just said, in closing, he basically just said, we're not equal. And I just said, you know what? You're right. You're so far below me. And I just dropped the mic and left the conversation, right? Because nothing would make him, more upset than to think that I think that I'm above him, which he knows I don't believe because of everything I was trying to teach him, And it took a lot in me not to be snarky, right? I was not snarky until the last comment, which I knew he knew it was a joke. But yeah, it's just know that this is out there. Like, these people out here truly believe this stuff. Yeah, Alex, I tried to walk him out of it. Hopefully I made an impact. I mean, I know he didn't walk away, change his mind, but maybe it's a seed planted and someone else will come along, and that's how it works. But man, this stuff is crazy. X is crazy. Hey, you muted.
What in the world? Okay, yeah. I've unfortunately seen a lot of this stuff, and I'm not saying that X should stop it. I'm saying that it's sad that it's so prevalent.
Yes.
And it's still a minority of people who tend to be hyper online people, because that is where they find camaraderie.
Oh, this guy definitely lives in his mom's basement. Yeah.
You know what's crazy is I think I've seen him in the threads, in the replies of other posts on X. I've actually seen this guy. Yeah. Because I recognized it. I was like, wait a minute, I know I've seen that name, and I've seen him saying racist stuff in other replies. But yeah, I mean this dude probably he probably thinking, man, if we could just get white people, to not have to deal with all these other races, we'll be good. It's like, hey man, there was a period where white people were up in Europe and all that stuff, and it was kind of a mess. It was kind of a mess until Christianity came in. It was feudal. It was folks was eating with the hands, spreading
wasn't
the
good.
plague. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like it's not like it was just this bastion. And for you to think that it's because of the color of your skin that culture was produced, because I'm not going to say that they are not recognizing that culture is a big part of it. It's just that they think that the culture, like you said, because they're special. No, it's because Western Europe was impacted by the Roman Empire's decision to become the Holy Roman Empire. And to spread Christianity as and I'm not saying that I agree with the way that the Roman Empire did everything. You know, I've kind of gone through a lot of that portion of history and church history. It's very, very interesting stuff. I don't put myself above those people, even if I disagree with some of the decisions they made, because I have the privilege of sitting in the time period that I sit in. But you can see that Christianity had a massive, massive impact on the quality of life of everywhere that it touched, mostly at the hands of the Roman Empire. And so this whole idea that it was whiteness that was the answer. No, it was not whiteness. It was the illumination of God. That's what it was. And it just so happened to be at the hands of people who looked a certain way. And that's one of the things that I tell people is I try to remove myself and just take a step back and look at world history, look at human history. And I don't get mad at things that Europeans have advanced. I recognized when you see world history, you see, oh, this is where Christianity has touched. And look at that. Life got better. Look at that. Technological advances. God clearly had his hand on those people. He clearly had his hand on those people. That's what it was. And so, I look at a lot of folks who look like us who get mad at the white man's religion. They get mad at anything that came from white people, as colonization and Eurocentrism and all of that stuff. It's like, no, God had his hand on this particular group at this particular time. You know who he had his hand on before that? It was the Jews. He had his hand on the Jews, right? Like, and I also, to these cats, I say, if you claim to be Christian, which not all of them claim to be Christian, but if you claim to be Christian, recognize where the scripture says, don't lift yourself up. Don't think that you're above the Jews now. You're a wild olive branch.
Yep.
They were cut off, but they're natural olive branches.
Man, the Candace-ites about to come after us, man. You basically just said,
Go ahead. These hands are rated E for everyone. These hands are rated E for everyone. You a wild olive branch. You ain't a natural olive branch. The scripture will throw them hands for me. I ain't got to throw no hands. All I'm saying is I don't sit here and try to raise myself up above, say, oh, I'm better than the Jews because the Jews killed Jesus. It's like, no, you know what? You would have done the same thing.
Yep.
Because you're a sinner.
Yep. Yep. And they're doing the same thing now. And so like, they think, so think about everything we were talking about before now, because they're concerned about the decline of America. And they think America is declining because it's becoming less white. But who's pushing the alternative ideas? It's other white people. It's progressivism. It's other white people that are leading the charge on this stuff, right? It is the Marxist left, right? And I was like, I was trying to explain him to like white, because he said, look at California. I'm like, yeah, look at it. It's not because it's browner. It's because they left God and they're completely modern progressivism, right? Which is largely led by white liberals, white progressives, right? And so trying to get this person to understand ideology and worldview and culture versus skin color was like, and that's why I didn't want to get snarky, but I literally typed out, oh, you're one of the slow ones. and then I deleted it. And then I deleted it. And I was like, I can't say that. I can't say that.
Kev had the backhand ready. He was like, okay, I'll put the backhand down, Jesus.
I got
down.
convicted. I got
put
convicted,
it down,
man.
Jesus.
And I just tried to reason with him, but it, like I say, it didn't work. But yeah, so that's one side. So you got these, white men, white Christian straight men have been told that the evil of society based on the intersectionality chart, right? And so what they've done is taking their identity and trying to raise it up, right? To fight back against the woke stuff.
Yes.
Right. And so what they're doing is they're going deeper into the whiteness and the white culture and white this and white that, because they've been told that it's evil and bad. Right. And so with me trying to tell him you ain't special, I'm pretty sure he was hearing you're the problem, which is what the left is saying, which we knew was going to be a backlash at some point. Right. And so this is the backlash. But I want to play the other side. So the other what the X thing is the opposite side of this guy. And this is what we're dealing with in our country. So if you can,
Yep.
So before you play the video, the caption is written by a white dude. And the white dude said, "Stop trying to be their friend. They hate you." Right? So this is the poison that's being put out there. But let the black guy talk, and
many white friends, because a lot of white people don't understand that being friends with black people is not just like being friends with a white person. There's so much that goes into being friends with a black person, because you have to do all this extra work, which a lot of you are not ready for, to be a safe haven for us, to be a accomplice to us. When you are friends with black people, you have to think about their safety at all times. Is doing this activity going to put my black friend at risk? So no, I don't have very many white friends because I don't trust y'all. Y'all have given me zero reason to trust y'all. Y'all think things are jokes that are not jokes. White men in particular think going into black neighborhoods and messing with black people is funny. Y'all think we are playthings. And you show that in the way that you're friends with black people too. You think they're your playthings. I don't want any part in that. So I'll stick to, having acquaintances online. I have no interest in having hangout friends with y'all, because you've proven that I'm not safe in your space.
First of all, let me just deal with a couple elephants in the room, okay? This dude's soft. He's soft.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Man, that dude's soft. But you can hear it in his voice. You can hear the softness in his voice, man.
Because he was like, we're not. He said we're not playthings. I'm like, but you're a child.
Soft.
I need to be protected. I need to be protected at all times.
That's not man language. That's not man language. Okay. It's funny that I'm encountering this, because I was thinking about this earlier. Matt asked a good question. Dev, do you need a safe haven? No, man. I was in the studio today, just kind of, trying to fix some things and all that while I was working. And I was thinking to myself, men don't use the same language, because I was listening to a woman talk about how, she felt safe at a Trump rally, right? And she was, walking with Kaizen. She was walking with Kaizen. So, and she, they're talking and stuff, and she mentioned that, and I was like, that is a very female way of thinking, because it's not generally how men think.
Because it's the thing. That woman and that black guy, they're not using safe in terms of a safe neighborhood. They're not talking about physical harm. They're talking about emotional. Like when he was saying that you have to make sure black people are safe at all times, he's not just talking about some type of physical harm being done. He's talking about emotional safety. He's talking about trauma and just very feminized, soft, as Matt put in the chat, soft.
I think he's talking about both, actually. I think he's talking about both because the woman was talking about both.
Okay.
I think you're absolutely right, though. I think that the emotional side of it comes in too, and that's also not male. That's even less male. That is less. That is not the way that a man thinks. The man creates the safety or protects against the danger. So if the man is looking to feel safe, looking for somebody else to make him feel safe, that's very effeminate. Very effeminate, first of all. Second of all, we knew what was coming. This dude got on a social justice shirt, okay? We knew what was coming. Third of all, what in the world is he talking about? But being friends with a black person is not the same as being friends with a white person. Like, you just set us back 50 years. What you doing?
This is why I chose both of these posts off of X. This is an op being played on the American people.
Man.
Right? This is an op being played on us, and it's dividing us through these two extreme views of one another. Right? The white dude saying white people need to be away from other races because it's only bad for them. The black dude saying black people need to be away from white people because it's bad for us, right? And it goes back to that skit. Remember that skit from a couple years ago where it was like white supremacists and woke people agree on everything?
Yes.
That's what this is. That's what this is.
Dude, I mean, you sitting here acting like, oh well, you know, when you're friends with a black guy, you gotta hold him, like this,
close to your bosom, but gotta protect him.
You gotta rock him, and you gotta make sure that you know, don't do it, don't move too fast, you know, don't rock them. They're delicate, you know. Listen, man,
hey, you gotta nurse them,
Bruh, what is happening here? Listen, y'all, please do not listen to this man. Please do not listen to this man. And me and most of my white friends make racist jokes to each other. I mean,
as all good friends should.
Right. Like, because we just talk junk to each other. I mean, and they talk junk about themselves. They joke about white people doing crazy stuff, you know, like we'll look at something and we'll look at each other and say, that's white people-ish right there. That's white people-ish. And they admit it. Like, yep, you're right. It is.
Yeah. Look, I was at a meeting recently with some white guys, and it was a lunch meeting, and I was like, hey, what are we having for lunch? And they was like, we're having mayo and potato salad with raisins in it. you know. They're like, you want some? you know.
and to be fair to white people, I've still to this day have never met a white person who puts raisins in their potato salad. I've only heard about it. I've never actually seen it. And maybe it's because I live in the South. Because white people in the South don't do that, man.
No, where we get it from is, if you ever look in those old cookbooks and those recipes, or you see some of these old cooking shows, they used to do a lot of that stuff. They used to use gelatin a lot. Like, it was just some horrible recipes, man. Between mayo, the Miracle Whip recipes, man, they was like, man, you take this stuff, you put it in everything, and like
that's like, very Midwest. So I got educated.
Yes, now the Midwest still does it.
Yeah, they still do it. So I got educated by my white friend from the Midwest. He's been on the show, Max. Max told me, he's like, all of that stuff, Midwest people do all that stuff.
Yes.
You know, and he's like, that's where a lot of that stuff comes from. And when I saw some of the jokes on TV about the crazy casseroles they joke about crazy casseroles Midwest white people make, and I thought it was just a joke on TV. And he told me, no, that's real.
No,
they really do it.
It's real. It's real. I've seen cooking stuff with people, and it's always a Midwestern dish, and it's a Midwestern favorite. I'm like, ew.
Miss me with it, man.
Yeah, so even in the South, man, I'm gonna get white people their props in the South. Southern food is Southern food. It's not just black.
That's right.
Southern is Southern.
That's right.
Now there's a black twist. Now we're gonna put a little bit more seasoning on it.
Yep.
But white people in the South die of diabetes too. Right? Black people got Kool-Aid, but black people got Kool-Aid, but white people came up with sweet tea.
Sweet tea, man. Sweet tea. And let me tell you, I now have to water down sweet tea everywhere I go because I grew out of being able to drink that much sugar when I was younger. I would do that mess. Now I'll drink some sweet tea and I'll be like, dang, that's just straight syrup right there. That's not even tea. I gotta put the tap on, put some water in that thing, mix it up with my finger a little bit. Like, okay, it's drinkable now. Bojangles, man. Bojangles don't make sweet tea. They make syrup.
No
syrup.
Yeah. They do.
Yeah. Diabetes. That's right. Diabetes. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Oh, snap. We got CFBU.
We do. Yep, we do. We still streaming.
It might be Krista. Who knows?
Yeah. I would say is rewind and get our biology lesson.
Oh no. We need, you know what we need? We need to get you a lab coat. We need to get you a lab coat.
Hi, boys and girls.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. So it's Krista.
Yeah.
Hey, Krista.
Yep. So we're at the end. We just finished up with the X.
Yeah. I mean, you missed some. I don't know. Maybe you were here for it, but it was some craziness. I mean, that was some rough stuff right there. I don't know. It
had to keep it real, man.
Listen,
keep it real.
This cat. You know who's not keeping it real? This cat. This dude right here. He is not keeping it real.
I'm taking his black card, his man card, everything. Right. But I called out the guy who posted it, who made that caption, "Stop trying to be their friend. They hate you." I said, "Who is they?"
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, "Man, stop trying to spread hate, because that's all he was trying to do."
Yeah.
Right. As if this dude is speaking for black people. Like, come on, man.
But listen, I will give some. I don't even know what to call it. But when you listen, like I said,
some credit, because that sentiment does exist. But it's like if I just went around and judged every white person based on what Big Cheese posted.
Right.
Like, stop judging people by the color of their skin, and thinking that you know what they think or they believe based on how they look.
And you're right. You are right. And this is exactly what, when I said during the Obama administration, when I saw basically what was happening, where it was becoming sport to be racist against white people in public, and then it hit the zenith. I mean, it hit the peak in 2020. My goodness. It got bad. I knew that this right here, this was coming. I knew this was coming because you can only do that so long before there's an equal and opposite reaction.
Yes.
And so both of them are wrong. That's what we're saying here. They're both wrong.
Yes.
Again, this is one of the things that you will get on this show. Our hands are rated E for everyone. We will dole out the whoopings wherever they need to be dealt.
Yes. Yeah.
And he both wrong. One. Yeah.
They both need one.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah.
Man.
But yeah, man, we got one last thing we got to talk about real quick.
One last thing.
We got a book of the month.
Yes, sir. Let's go to the book of the month.
Yes. So speaking of Krista, so Krista put me up on a very interesting X thread today. If you know who Data Republican is, right? She's the person who does all the research, right? And just uncover stuff, who's paying for what. And she had one on Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood and CARE, right? So CARE is the Center for American and Islamic Relations, right? They're supposed to like create good relations between Islam and Americans. That's their charter, right? But it was started and founded by the U.S. chapter of the Muslim Brotherhood, right? The Muslim Brotherhood is a Salafist Islamic group. So you want to understand about Salafism. Salafism is the ideology. It's basically political Islam. It's Sharia law. It is the ideology of Al Qaeda. Any terrorist group you can think of, they're gonna be Salafist, right? And so the Muslim Brotherhood, it comes out of Egypt. That ideology comes out of Egypt. And so Hamas is the Palestinian branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood created Hamas, right? And so think the Muslim Brotherhood created Hamas, and the Muslim Brotherhood also created CARE, right? So this whole thing is tied together. And so this book is just really breaking down how they're planning to basically change the West and change America, because the Muslim Brotherhood got smart. Like when Egypt's president made peace with Israel in the 70s, the Muslim Brotherhood is who assassinated him, right? And so they used to be a hardcore terrorist organization, but they realized, hey, we want to be in the long run. We gotta stop this terrorism thing. We gotta become more political. And so they became a political organization. And if you remember in the Arab Spring in 2011, when they overthrew, I forgot what the king of Egypt was called. And then they had elections. Muslim Brotherhood won the elections, right? And took power in Egypt. And then the Egyptian military pulled the coup and threw them out because they was like, nah, we're not down with this. And so, but the point is they stopped being terrorists and start being moderates to be political and to be accepted, right? CARE is a lot of that same thing. They come off as moderate. They come off as we just want good relations. But at the end of the day, they have ulterior motives for being nice to you, right? Hamas, terrorist organization, also became a political organization, became the government in Gaza, got elected in 2006, right? And so they always try to tone down their terroristic ways to try to be legitimate political entities, right? But at the end of the day, their ideologies and their end goals are still the same. They're just trying to come at it from a different way. And so this book was written in 2017. And so it does a good job of like tying these together. So somebody in that thread on the Data Republican, because she was talking about this, and somebody posted, say, hey, you should read this. And so that's why I added it in here. Man, you gotta be kidding me.
What happened? You talking about the
all right. Yeah, so that was it.
You talking about the apple cider gelatin salad? That's what I was like.
Yeah.
When you
Hey, I'm telling you, man, those old recipe books, man, you'd be like, where were they thinking? Between the gelatin and the Miracle Whip, ugh, dude. Like, why you got English peas in your Jello?
Oh man. Stage an intervention. We need to have an intervention with the Midwest. We need to stage an intervention. We need to bring some mashed potatoes and we need to bring some properly seasoned greens. We need to bring some properly seasoned green beans, some chicken.
One thing I love about America is while we have a central culture, the culture's different geographically based on
I think we lost Kev. I think we lost him. It's all good. We have frozen Kevin. Maybe we'll get him back. Let's see. What did Chris have to say? I've heard that Rubio is trying to get the Muslim Brotherhood classified as a terrorist group. What impact will that have? Does it matter? That is a good question. It would be amazing if they did get classified as a terrorist organization, because I do think that would give I do think one of the effects that it would have is that it would give internally the government more ability to trace, to look into certain things, to trace back ties of certain people to Muslim Brotherhood. It will give the ability to essentially freeze any sort of trade, or even sort of free movement of money between people and anybody in the Muslim Brotherhood. So I do think that is one of the or a few of the big things that could be possible if they did classify them as a terrorist organization. That actually brings me to another thing. I actually think that Marco Rubio, foreign policy is just one of his best, one of his absolute best qualities. He is so good. He is so good at foreign policy. He really knows his stuff. And Trump was very smart to put him in that position. And I hope that he gets a shot at being president again. I think that he was a strong candidate. I think he'll be a strong president. But I do think that the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat, and that they do not act alone. I think that the Muslim Brotherhood is a threat because of the fact that they are connected over in the Middle East. They are not isolated, as Kevin said, and so they are trying to exert their will in multiple places. I will say that I suspect that the Muslim Brotherhood, if there is an attempt to if there is a major attempt beyond what we've already seen in the UK to implement things like Sharia law. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that they had a job posting for I think a judge for a Sharia court in the UK. That is just I mean, the UK is in a really bad place right now. And the fact that there is a job posting by the UK government for people to work in a Sharia court just lets you know how far gone it is. I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if the Muslim Brotherhood and other organizations are not having some influence of some of the political moves being made in the UK towards Islam. So yeah, that is what I think on that. I do think that they continue to be a threat from across the ocean, but they are more a threat directly, in a kinetic war sense to our allies over there. But they do try to obviously exert their influence here, as is evidenced by CARE. And I don't think that we can treat them as though they're just this isolated group. I think that they are all working together, and they have to be taken seriously. So it looks like we're probably not getting Kevin back. I'm looking at the oh snap, there he is. We got him back. Boom. Okay, we got Kev back, y'all. He's alive.
My internet acting like I ain't got free nights and weekends.
My dude on Sprint. my dude on
Boost.
Sprint.
I'm on that Boost Mobile.
That
Where
bug
you
on
at?
Cricket. That bug on Cricket.
Man, I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on.
Man, we just need y'all. Y'all need to move up to ATL. The internet way better over here. Internet way better over here.
It's not making sense. I guess my internet gets tired. I guess it get tired or something. I guess, the hamsters get tired.
Krista is killing you, man. She is killing you.
I have done everything I can. It's just, I don't know what to say. Don't know what to say.
Just need to move. You need to move up the highway to ATL. Hey, there's houses for sale in the neighborhood, baby. Come on.
I'll be honest, man. I looked at some today in the ATL. I'm always doing real estate.
Hey, y'all get in the chat. If y'all want Kev to be in the studio here with me in ATL, y'all get in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat.
It's one thing that's keeping me, outside of my wife. There's another thing keeping me from making that move. Because I looked at the house, I'm like, okay, that price ain't bad. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, we could do that. Then I scrolled down, and there's a thing called taxes. Man, Georgia property tax is too high.
Hey, I'm not gonna front. I've been punched in the mouth by Georgia property tax. I have been punched in the mouth. But hey, Georgia state government is considering getting rid of income tax in Georgia.
If they do that, I'll think about it. Because with the income tax plus the higher property tax, what I'm getting for that?
Right.
I got the same amenities here in Alabama.
Except for the internet, though. Y'all internet trash. Y'all internet straight trash.
It ain't worth those extra taxes. I can tell you that.
I will personally try to get through the network, try to get somebody to give Kemp a message. Hey, sign that junk, sign it into law, get it pushed through, because we got to get Kevin Briggins over to Georgia.
Because look, you can have high property. I understand you got to get your taxes right. So you can have high property tax. I understand Florida. I understand Tennessee. I understand Texas. They don't have a state income tax. It's based on property tax. But you can't be Georgia and have sky-high property taxes and have a state income tax. Like, what you doing?
Hey, thank you.
Come on,
I am a fan of us getting rid of income tax. I would prefer them to not do it through property tax, because I think it's a little bit commie. You know, I own my property, but you're going to tax me on my property that I own. And then if I don't pay my property tax, what happens? You're probably going to take it from me. It means I don't own it, right?
Yeah.
I would rather them do a consumption-based tax. I'd rather them do that.
I agree. But that's a whole nother show, man.
It is a whole other show. Closing statements by Dr. Kevin Briggins.
Yep. While I'm still here, hey, thank y'all tonight. This has been awesome. You guys are the best chat on the YouTube streets. Feature the best moderator in the YouTube streets. But yeah, we thank y'all for being with us. Check out Devin over at Podium Studios for all of your kind of podcasting, marketing needs. Wherever you need something, a video created, reach out to Devin. You know, check out our diverse and inclusive merch store, right? You know, and get your Informed Takes merch and your Unburdened merch. Yeah, but until next time, y'all, stay informed.
Stay informed, folks. See you in 2 weeks. We'll see you in 2 weeks. All right. This podcast was filmed at Podium Studios at Marietta Square. Grow your business with turnkey, professional quality podcasting, live streaming, and online events. Don't worry about editing. Don't worry about anything. Just come in and record. Learn more at thepodium.studio. Step up to the podium.